In module number 3 we will discuss about the co-creation game workshops. At the end of module number 3, students will be able to understand the procedure for organizing co-creation game workshops and will also be able to organize co-creation game workshops for people with dementia, based on an intergenerational approach. What are these game co-creation workshops? During these workshops, people with dementia, young volunteers, game designers and health professionals meet and develop their own game prototypes. This approach is a pleasant way to act on the symptoms of people with dementia and also improve their quality of life. A very important part of these workshops is the intergenerational factor that encourages the social inclusion of people with dementia by actively involving them in the process of designing games that meet their needs. Through these workshops, the intergenerational gap is also addressed, involving young volunteers in solving the problems of seniors. Through these workshops, it helps increase awareness of dementia and also raise awareness of the importance of serious games as a tool to improve quality of life and well-being. People with dementia are often excluded from intergenerational social activities due to prejudices and stereotypes. So these workshops aim to break the social stigma about dementia and also to make known the capabilities of people with dementia. Involvement in games can bring many benefits to people with dementia, including mental and cognitive stimulation, mild physical exercise and social interaction. Last but not least, these workshops encourage spending a pleasant time, meant to bring fun and well-being. At least 5-6 game prototypes will be created in each country through workshops. Obviously, the number of prototype games that will be developed will depend on the complexity of each game and the available time. Depending on the size of the event, large, medium, small, it is estimated a number of prototype games that can be created. It is estimated that in a large event that includes around 50 people working on the development process, 10 or even 12 games can be developed. Another estimate is related to a medium-sized event, around 30 people. In this type of event 6 or even 7 games can be created. However, if we talk about a small-sized workshop, in which around 12 people participate, it is estimated that around 3 or even 4 games or prototype games can be created. The appropriate number of participants in a workshop in the first phase of the Bridge project, in which we want to create 5-6 games, is 3-6 people with dementia, 3-6 caregivers, 6-9 young volunteers, 3-6 game designers, 2-3 health professionals. These people will be divided into 2-3 groups and each group will consist of 1-2 people with dementia, 1-2 caregivers, 3 volunteers, 1 designer and 1 health professional. The workshops will include people with dementia, caregivers, health professionals, young people or students and game designers. For each category of people there is an age limit, a number of people who can participate, their profile and their specific needs. For example, regarding the category of people with dementia, they must be 65+ years old, and there must be 3 to 6 people from this category in the workshop. Each category of people who must participate in these workshops has a certain role. As for people with dementia, they have the role to participate in the game sessions, and to talk to health professionals, caregivers and young volunteers when they identify problems. Caregivers have the role of supporting people with dementia in game sessions and if they want, to explain the daily needs of the person they care for. The young volunteers have the role to pay attention to the emotional and cognitive problems of people with dementia and to respond to their needs in the most appropriate way. To get involved in the process of playing with people with dementia and to help design the games and organizing the event. Game designers also have the role of team leaders and will explain the rules of the game and the principles of game creation. Will collaborate with health professionals to develop a program that will meet the emotional and cognitive needs of people with dementia, will observe the procedure and will take notes. Healthcare professionals will prepare presentations, contribute to the design of game prototypes, and share their knowledge about the abilities of people with dementia and about the exercises and activities that they usually undertake. Regarding the duration of the workshops, in the best situation, the workshop will last 2 days. Depending on the content and purpose of each part of the workshop, the duration is expected to vary. If there will be exceptional circumstances, and if the organization in charge of implementing the workshop cannot organize a 2-day workshop, there is also the option in which a 1-day workshop can be organized. In the workshops that will last 2 days, the organizers will plan for each day a duration of 4-5 working hours. Thus, for the 2 days of the workshop, the hours will add up to 8 or 10 hours. The actual development of the games can last from 2 hours to 10 hours, the duration depending on the complexity of the games. There is also a specified duration for game testing sessions, so they can last 1 or 2 hours, depends on the number of games that need to be tested. Regulations regarding the location of the workshop are also specified. The location should be accessible in order to attract as many participants as possible. Also, the space should be dementia-friendly and as familiar as possible to people with dementia to give them the opportunity to feel comfortable and to participate easily. This chosen space will have to be quite spacious, adapted to the number of people participating in the workshop. It is preferable for the space to be equipped with round tables to encourage the process of interaction and dialogue between participants and with comfortable chairs. The environment must be comfortable and quiet. During the workshops, appropriate materials for the process will be needed, materials meant to cognitively stimulate the participants. Whether we are talking about computers and internet or we are talking about a space for a snack break, they must be present in order to facilitate the game development process. Computers, desktops, laptops or tablets are required for digital games. In the case of digital online games, networking, Ethernet Wi-Fi is also required. Ideally, a library of games and computer equipment is desirable. The content and purpose of the workshop will have to be presented by health professionals, using specific and clear slides. The organizers of the workshop will have to prepare a material with basic information about dementia, serious games and benefits, how to interact with people with dementia, and how to develop games that target people with dementia. Young volunteers may not have the experience to interact with people with dementia, so health professionals and caregivers should mentor them on how to approach people with dementia and how to deal with specific situations. Healthcare professionals should also use this time to provide a presentation of the information they seek to collect from participants and the objectives of these workshops. Finally, they will explain the role of each person. Before the start of the workshop, professionals should present and provide participants with an information sheet. They must also ensure that all participants have the signed consent form to participate in the workshop and collect everyone's demographic information. The workshop cannot start until these conditions are met. Then the stage of creating mixed groups will begin. This should take an average of 10 minutes. In this process, health professionals distribute colored cards, a different color for each group, to each participant, so that depending on the color received, groups will be formed that contain all categories of participants: young volunteer, caregivers, game designer, person with dementia. It will also be specified how many people in each category will be part of a group, and after creating the groups will begin the interaction stage in which each participant shares information about their own person. This process will increase the empowerment of the team. To encourage participants to interact in groups, team leaders will ask questions about each other's needs, the games they played in the past, and the games they play now. Team leaders have a very important role, one in which they will have to encourage participants to share information and encourage communication between participants. All information obtained from this process must be noted according to the categories of participants. Now the game process begins. This stage is expected to take 60 minutes. Group participants start playing the already existing games, and as the games progress they can share information about new ideas that can be included in the game creation process. After this stage of the session is over, there will be a break, which can last 15 minutes. This is the time when people with dementia can leave the workshop, as their part of the collaboration ended for the first day. The second task of the first day of the workshop is to start creating new games. Since people with dementia have left the groups will now be formed only by health professionals, game designers, and young volunteers. Game designers will need to encourage interaction between participants to brainstorm about the type of games they want to create, the main themes or mechanisms used, and also inform participants about the limits of the game creation process. Participants will start playing different games using materials they have at hand and will decide which games will be developed later. In order to create games that will cover certain needs of people with dementia and to alleviate the symptoms of dementia, health professionals will need to share information about the abilities of people with dementia, their needs and activities that can help maintain cognitive abilities and reduce behavioral symptoms.